Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my show, Posh Overnight with the Princess. I'm very happy to be here today at beautiful Coronado representing IQ Podcasts. We have a great show ahead. Please stay tuned because I have a very interesting topic. We are going back to work probably in September after the summer months. And I have some really good suggestions for you if you're looking for a job. Because as we know, usually in the real estate industry, we have a buyer and a seller market. Now we're going to have an employer and the employee market. And I would like to start with something interesting. How to get a job in the post-pandemic world and how to avoid bad companies is going to be your main concern, because many bad companies are going to try to attract good employees and you're going to be very disappointed. So after you have been without a job for maybe 1.5 years, you want to land a position in a proper company because you don't want to look for a job every 3 months. So what do you have to do? According to a recent statistics, the unemployment rate in California this month is 7.9%, which is 50% lower and since last year that time, because many people lost their jobs, many companies closed their doors, and the unemployment rate raised almost to 16%, which was a very, very tragic situation. So what do we have to do to gain a proper job? The first thing, when you write your resume, you probably have the skills to write your resume, you're sending it to the prospective employers, and you're going to wait for their response. When you get this email, it's going to be your responsibility to respond to this email, and you have up to 24 hours. The business etiquette is to respond up to 24 hours. You don't want to wait very long time. You don't want to respond immediately because you don't want to look very desperate. You know, you want to have your qualities evaluated well, and you want to communicate with the proper company, and you have to be actually perceived by them as a person who has a lot of value. When you respond, before you actually respond, I wrote down a few things for you because there's so many things that I wanted to indicate. Definitely make sure that you Google the company. You want to know where are you going. So if the company, this might be a little misleading, because if you see that the company has been in the market for almost 100 years, sometimes good companies might be on the market for many years, but this doesn't really represent the fact that this is a good company, because even Sears, they had a very good reputation until a certain moment when they collapsed. So this is not always an indication that a company is a very strong company. The second thing that you have to do, and you need to know what is the environment. So you can go and Google Glassdoor, because on Glassdoor, you're going to see many indication about the company which you're heading to. So in other words, there are going to be former employers or former employees that are going to indicate what is the pros and what are the cons for this particular company. And if you see that the pros are, for example, the salary is great, but unfortunately the environment is very toxic, is very intimidating, is very cliquey, maybe this might not be the company for you. The reason being is, you know, sometimes we might not recognize the fact that we are want to pay attention to our mental health, but many people do. So if the company is going to offer you lesser salary, but at the same time, the environment is very friendly, welcoming, and beautiful, maybe this is the company for you. So the next one is go and Google the company, check the Yelp reviews. You can check any kind of reviews, because if you're going to a company with many clients and customers, they are going to indicate what are the pros and the cons as well in a very subliminal way. For example, if the company has good reviews, of course, you don't want to see only 5-star reviews, because sometimes you might assume that probably the company doesn't purchase the reviews. You want authentic reviews. So when you see that a company or a client indicates that the company has a very bad management, or the manager didn't respond, didn't return calls, you might think, do you really want to work for this company? Because maybe they're just very much behind on their load. So those are the things that you have to look for. Something that I always think, especially after the post-pandemic situation, many people are going to be desperate perhaps to get a job. So don't rush, because if you were without a job for probably a year, you can probably wait another couple of months for you to find a proper company. If you have been working in the accounting department for many, many years and you have an offer for a front desk, I think that the best opportunity for you is just to wait for something in the accounting department. Of course, if you want some different challenge, maybe you can go into the front desk position. But this is something as new relationships. People get attracted about something, but doesn't necessarily always works out if the two individuals are very different. So this is basically how it is about the work environment. If you're used to numbers and not communicating with clients so much, probably the front desk is going to be very challenging for you, because when you're at the front desk, you have to talk to customers. You have to pick up the phone most of the day, and it's going to be really, really crucial that you can handle it. And you might be frustrated, you might be unhappy. So make sure that you are going into a field that is very suitable and and you are very comfortable with it. How about the pay range? I personally, when you are applying for a job or when you're looking for a job, if the company doesn't indicate the pay range, probably you shouldn't be even considering this company, because sometimes it's very difficult to find a company that is going to suit your needs, especially when they say, okay, the pay range is going to be based on negotiation or depending on your experience. So you are actually getting ready for a failure, because they probably won't give you what you're looking for. And when you're going for a company with a proper range, for example, between $18 and $24, you already know that the bottom line for this company is $18. So you are not going to be surprised if they offer you $15, because this is not indicated on the first ad. So make sure that you pay attention to those steps. Also, a lot of people make this mistake when they receive the email and the future employee tells them, okay, I can see you, or I can schedule the interview only at 10 o'clock on Tuesday. So make sure that this is suitable for your schedule, because sometimes we're just rushing to conclusions, we're rushing to situations, and might not be the best way for us, because we don't want to miss the interview, but at the same time, probably we have something else that we scheduled 1 month in advance. So pay attention to your schedule. Don't ignore it and go, just let them know, maybe this schedule doesn't work for me. 10 a.m. on Tuesday is not a suitable time and date. Can we reschedule? Give them a couple of options, because if you give them only one, they might not be able. When you give people options and they choose something, it's much more easier for them to give you the correct answer. So those are several things that I would like you to pay attention to. So when you are finally scheduling the interview, how about the Zoom meeting? The Zoom meeting is very important, because this is your first initial interview. Some people schedule an interview over the phone, but if you're going to go ahead with the Zoom meeting, I want you to have the best experience possible. So you have to pay attention to the punctuality. If they tell you 10 o'clock a.m. PST, means that this is the Pacific time. So even if it is an international company, international schedule, always ask if it's going to be Pacific time. Are they on the East Coast? Are they in Germany? What is their schedule? Where are they? Because you don't want to be late. Also, pay attention. Check always your email. This happened to me a couple of times. Certain companies, they want to resend the Zoom link because they want to refresh it, or they want to make sure that there is no any kind of interference with the old link. So they're going to send you a new link. Pay attention, open your email and check if they're going to probably send additional link, and make sure that you're going to be able to go there. Make sure that you have a pen and paper because you might be able to take notes. And if you have a pen and paper, you need to let them know when the interview starts that you're going to be taking notes, because sometimes when you're writing down, people think that you're not paying attention. They think that you're just doing something, or you're on your phone, or you're just busy, and everyone wants you to be present. So if you're not present, they won't take you seriously. The other thing is that you need to have a well-lit room. You have to pay attention to the lighting. And I will give you a trick, because I've done a lot of TV interviews, and sometimes when they're on the East Coast and I'm in California, I have to do the interview at 6 a.m. So obviously I don't have the natural light. So I'm using a regular light with this little ring that I purchased from Amazon. You don't need to go overboard to buy all those lights for professional photography and video screening. Just get a regular light. I think that they're about approximately $45 from Amazon, and you will thank me, because this saved my life. I use this light for every single meeting, every single occasion, every single interview. It's just about, you might even find it cheaper, maybe up to $40. So always use your camera. Your camera has to be on at all times during the interview. So because if they don't see you, they won't be able to make eye contact. They won't be able to get a glimpse from who you are, how do you present yourselves, and all those little moments and seconds are very crucial for the entire process of the interview. So how do you maintain eye contact? The eye contact is going to be when you look directly at the camera. Don't look at yourself, because you probably saw yourself already. You're looking great. But look at the camera, and this is going to indicate that you're maintaining eye contact. So that's very important. Something that I always advocate about is your background. When you are going for a job interview, many people make a mistake to go with a very elaborate background. They're showing that they live in a mansion and they have this beautiful summer sunset, or summer sun, the ocean behind and the palms. So you're going for a job interview. If you're in a mood to be on at the beach and to relax, probably they won't take you seriously, because people want employees. They don't want people who are constantly thinking about their vacation. So make sure that those are little details that's really, everything adds up about business etiquette. Also, make sure that behind you, the area behind you is very clean. I've seen disastrous environments, disastrous situations with otherwise very intelligent people, and you see they film and they're on Zoom, but behind them is their kitchen, and you can see dirty plates, dirty cups, boxes of pizza. So make sure that you don't show anything as such, because this can be really, really detrimental for your employment, because people think that the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. So if your kitchen is very messy, obviously everything is going to be very messy about your work schedule, about your everything, what you represent. The dress code. So most of us, we are so used to being on camera, and just from the top part of our body. So we forget that we have to really dress appropriately. Make sure that your hair is done. Make sure that for the ladies, if you put a little bit of makeup, make sure that you do it with a natural light, or just need to have some light. You don't want to scare them. At the same time, don't put too much. Just be a decent person and represent yourself in the best way possible. Tank tops are never okay, depending what type of industry you're going for. But at the same time, I strongly believe that the tank tops are not the business casual attire at all means. Make sure that the camera is not going to get a glimpse of your feet, especially if you're not wearing shoes and socks. So those are little details that you have to pay attention to. So many people are always indicating that it's very charming and very cute when you've got your kids around and your dogs around and your pets in general. But in my opinion, if you are a professional person, you have to make sure that your kids, your dogs, everyone everyone is going to be somewhere, you know, in a separate room. They have someone to entertain them, because it is very, very distracting for everyone around. If you're on a TV show for Good Morning America, and the purpose is just entertainment, this is one thing. But if you're going for a job interview, you're going to you'll distract everyone around. You know, you don't want them to ask you personal questions of how old is your son, or how many dogs you have. Oh my God, they just bark so loud. Is there somebody? Are you okay? So you want to avoid all those type of noise around you. Something that I always do as a suggestion is, if you have some kind of a paper that is really bright, as maybe orange or purple or pink, put a note on the front door, because the FedEx guy might come along, your maintenance guy can come along, and they're going to start knocking on the door, ringing the bell. So make sure that you avoid every single distraction. So if you're living in a mansion, probably you don't have this problem, but you're not going to be looking for this particular job. So make sure that you let people know that you're very busy right now. You don't need to be rude. You don't need to post something over the top. Just put, I'm on a call, I'm busy right now, and that's it. So those are about the Zoom techniques. If you have anything to add, because there's so many things that we can talk about, and can be really beneficial. I want you to remember that it's going to be your market. So make sure to make the best of it. Also, let's see what type of questions we're going to be asking. So usually when people ask you questions, I am very skeptical about the question, how do you see yourself in the next 5 years? And I'll tell you why. Because when we just survived the pandemic, so obviously 5 years from now, we really don't know what we're going to be doing. Hopefully we are just alive, sound, and safe. But people from the HR industry with the outdated techniques, they might actually ask you these questions. So pay attention to details like that. I personally think that is not the best question to be asked. You can always respond in a proper, polite manner, but pay attention to that. Obviously, they've got some very old school techniques in the entire company, because they probably have to have some kind of a training. What type of questions I'm going to ask my next candidate, right? The other thing that you really, really have to, excuse me, you have to pay attention is why this position is vacant. I personally think that this is one of the most important questions that you have to ask. If the position is vacant because of turnover, because of this is the most dangerous part, actually. If it is a turnover, they usually won't tell you, but you can find out. You need to ask this question. That's definitely one of the questions that I would ask. It might be overgrowth, which is great, but at the same time, if the position is new, can you handle something that is, you have to understand that they don't know how to handle the position if it is a new position. So you're going to take a very serious challenge on you. If the position is brand new, you need to perform in a very creative way, because the reason being is no one knows what to expect from this position. So this is the bottom line. Also, if you hear that some of the employees, because sometimes if you ask why the position is vacant, and they say, oh, we had somebody else and she was a great employee, but she decided to make a different career choice. But the rest of us, we've been here for 20 years or 25 years. That's also a dangerous indication. And I'll tell you why. Because usually the people that have been there for 20, 25 years, they have their cliquey environment, and they might run out the new people who are coming there with different creativity. So you just basically have to be very, very smart about your analytical side when you're getting a job. So ask your questions, and you definitely can post any questions you might have. And of course, if you really like what they say, and if you might consider them as a company of choice, please go ahead and send them a thank you note. The thank you notes are not outdated. The thank you notes are still a very proper way to communicate, to thank people, to show them appreciation. And what you're going to say in the thank you note, just let them know that you really appreciate the time that they spend with you. They won't even expect that you're going to send a thank you note. But I think that is a good idea for you to send a thank you note and to let them know. You can send a thank you note only if you really think that you might go into this company, because you really don't have to if you don't like the way they interview you, you don't like the company, you don't like the position, you don't like a lot of things. Also, the HR department back in the day was that way. People will tell you, no, don't ask about your salary, don't ask about your benefits. A good company, they have to come to you and to let you know what is going to be your salary and what are your benefits. Actually, this is their responsibility. So if a company tries to avoid those type of things, I don't really think that they care so much about the employees. So you have to consider those type of things. It's a different economy. It is a different times we're living, and it is your time to find the proper job. If you don't like it, don't rush, because in California, for example, you can't really sue anyone. They have the authority to fire you without any reason. Yes, if they don't like your attitude, if they don't like that you have some ideas, if they don't like something about you, even if you're the best person in the world, you're always on time, you're dressed appropriately, they can fire you, and you're going to regret it because you probably had an opportunity from a different company that probably could be a better option for you. So this is it from me for today. We can talk for a long time about getting a job, maintaining a job, and how to avoid the bad companies. I would like to thank our sponsors, and this is Attorney King, Siquoian Casino and Resort, Indian Motorcycle of San Diego, the gym, and IB Fitness. Also, we have Nikki Rottens. Sorry. Thank you. And I'm Maryanne Parker, and this is my podcast, Posh Overnight with the Princess. Thank you.